ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ನಾನು ಅಭಯ ಸಿಂಹ, ಕನ್ನಡ ಸಿನಿಮಾ ಬರಹಗಾರ ಹಾಗೂ ನಿರ್ದೇಶಕ. ಇವತ್ತು ನಮ್ಮ ಜೊತೆ ಮಾತಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಅಭಿಜಿತ್ ದೇಶಪಾಂಡೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳುವ ಎಡಿಟರ್ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅಭಿಜಿತ್ ದೇಶಪಾಂಡೆ ಹಾಗೂ ನಾನು ಸಾಧಾರಣ 17 ವರ್ಷದಿಂದ ಪರಿಚಿತರು, ಗೆಳೆಯರು. ನಾವಿಬ್ಬರು ಒಟ್ಟಿಗೆ FTII ಫಿಲ್ಮ್ ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಸಿನಿಮಾವನ್ನು ಕಲ್ತಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ಅದಾದ ನಂತರ ಅಭಿಜಿತ್ ದೇಶಪಾಂಡೆ ಮರಾಠಿ ಫಿಲ್ಮ್ ಇಂಡಸ್ಟ್ರಿಯಲ್ಲಿ, ಹಿಂದಿ ಸಿನಿಮಾ ಇಂಡಸ್ಟ್ರಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಹಾಗೂ ಇತ್ತೀಚೆಗೆ OTTಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ಶೋಗಳನ್ನು, ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ಕಂಟೆಂಟನ್ನು ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಎಡಿಟರ್ ಆಗಿ. ಮರಾಠಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ಫೇಮಸ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದ ನ್ಯೂಡ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳುವ ಸಿನಿಮಾ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಅಯ್ಯ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳುವಂಥ ಒಂದು ಸಿನಿಮಾ ಆಗಿತ್ತು, ಅಥವಾ ಮರಾಠಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಫೇಮಸ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದ ದಿಯೋಲ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳುವ ಸಿನಿಮಾ, ರಾಜವಾಡ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಸನ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳುವ ಸಿನಿಮಾ, ರಾಜ ರಸೋಯಿ ಆರ್ ಅಂದಾಜ್ ಅನೋಖಾ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳುವಂಥ ಒಂದು ಸೀರೀಸ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು. ಹಾಗೆ OTTಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದು ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ಫೇಮಸ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದಂಥ ಕ್ರಿಮಿನಲ್ ಜಸ್ಟಿಸ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳುವ ಶೋದಲ್ಲಿ ಎಡಿಟರ್ ಆಗಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು. ಹಾಗೆ ಬೇತಾಳ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳುವಂಥ ಝೋಂಬಿ ವೆಬ್ ಸೀರೀಸ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ ಎಡಿಟರ್ ಆಗಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು. ಸೊ ಒಂದು 20 ವರ್ಷದಿಂದ ಎಡಿಟರ್ ಆಗಿ ಸಿನಿಮಾ ಇಂಡಸ್ಟ್ರಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಿ ಅವರ ಒಂದಷ್ಟು ಅನುಭವಗಳನ್ನು ಮಾತಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿಕ್ಕೆ ಇವತ್ತು ನಮ್ಮ ಜೊತೆ ಸೇರಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸಂವಹನಕ್ಕೆ ಒಂದು ಭಾಷೆಯಾಗಿ ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷ್ ಉಪಯೋಗಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ತಿದ್ದೇವೆ, ಯಾಕೆಂದರೆ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಕನ್ನಡ ಬರೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಅನ್ಯತಾ ಭಾವಿಸಬಾರ್ದು. ವೆಲ್ಕಮ್ ಅಭಿಜಿತ್. ವೆನ್ ಯು ಕೇಮ್ ಟು FTI, you were already a hotel management graduate. So why films? How did it start to you?
I'm still trying to figure out the answer to that question, why films, because what happened, I did hotel management because I was fond of cooking. I was a fan of Sanjeev Kapoor and I was fond of cooking. So I used to watch his shows, write him fan mail and stuff. And so that drove me to Bombay to go to the hotel school. So I went to the hotel school, and after passing out from there, I worked in a hotel for a year. And then I realized that, I was not getting whatever I was making from the kitchen used to go out, and or maybe I was a part of an assembly line where maybe I quit too early, maybe I got tired too early, but in my early days I used to peel cucumber for a very long time, then cut tomatoes for a very long time, and then it got frustrating, and I didn't get any feedback back from anywhere, maybe because so I was feeling very unsatisfied at that point in time, and so I came back home, and I belong to Pune, and so there were many of my theatre friends who at that time were working in a very brand new production house, and this was the time when Marathi channels were launching, on ZTV Marathi, then ETV Marathi, and so many others, all of us know. So and most of the work was coming there in that studio in Pune. So I started going there. I talked to them and they said, come, find your beat. And then fortunately I started with editing. I got into the editing room and I never got out of there. I worked with them, and like you said, the best part about that company, Indian Magic Eye, was that I got to do everything. Game shows, reality shows, then interview-based, studio-based programs, and then of course a lot of fiction, a lot of telefilms, and we were given a complete free hand to try out various things and songs, and that was a great learning experience. I worked with them for 3 years when I thought that now I should learn more editing. I should learn editing. Right? Here I was doing it, but as you know, television is more deadline driven, so everything I was doing was to meet a deadline. So meeting who is a good editor, editor who can meet deadlines is a good editor in terms of television. So I wanted, so when I realized that, my father advised me, why don't you try to get into FTII. So actually FTII was just around the corner from my house, where I grew up, where I lived all this while. But I never really had looked that way, while passing Law College Road. I had never looked that way. And one day I looked that way, and then I started entering it, and then, I realized new aspects of editing. That what is actually FTI slowed me down, in a good way. It slowed me down. I started thinking before I started making cuts, and I started taking cuts I started thinking cuts in my dreams. So that is where the entire process of slowing down happened. And looking at the story, at the complete story and the rhythm of the story. And then there are people you meet. The best part about FTII thing is that you learn from each other, be it your friends, your batchmates, your seniors, your juniors. You keep the environment is such that every step you take, there is something happening, and then there is something that goes in your mind, or maybe your state of mind is that you are very accepting at that point in time. So that is how FTII happened, and then I came to Bombay after in 2006. So what happened was mostly I, uh, I used to wake up very early, so then and I had a lot of time in my hand before the classes started. So I started learning French at Orleans Française, and then I got a scholarship to learn cinema at in Paris in 2003, in 2006. So that was right after our diploma film had finished, So I went to Paris for some time, and I came back, and then the course was over because me and you were the first ones to finish the diploma. And then I came to Bombay, and I started working as an assistant editor. I worked on Manorama 6 Feet Under as an assistant editor to Jabin Merchant. And she is one of my mentors in Bombay. She has really handheld me. She gave me a lot of independent work later on also after we finished Manorama. And she has really been a kind person and a mentor to me, and she has taught me so many things. So yeah, and then I started getting independent Marathi work because my immediate seniors, my contemporaries, all those people who I had worked with during my television days in Indian Magic Eye had also started making films in these 4 or 5 years in between, and they trusted me with their films. I'm again thankful to them, and so the work started, and it started, and it started.
I was a fresh graduate when I came to film school. You, of course, had done a lot of work before coming to FTI. So, what made you come to FTI, and what did you gain after FTI?
See, what made me come to FTI was the quest to learn, actually, and that I wanted to learn editing as a craft, as an art, and I knew how to use a machine, and that's all. And like I said earlier, FTI actually slowed me down, made me think about what I was doing, why I was doing it, and gave me so many new friends. And all these 3 years I spent watching films. I would very frankly admit I didn't enjoy watching many films, but I did watch them as an exercise, which also is, I think, important to do as a student of films. And after FTII, like I said, Jabin helped me, gather my ground in Mumbai by recommending me. By first of all, for the first 6 months I worked with her, I just did that. I was with her on Manorama from January 2007 to July 2007. We were doing only Manorama 6 Feet Under, and that was a very, very good experience. She sitting with the director, and what is that magic of, like people say, editor ka magic. We the first cut was ridiculously long of the film, and all of us were wondering how would we get it down, but at the end of 4-5 months we actually brought it down. But till today I can't pinpoint what exactly we deleted, because it is there in the film in essence, and that realization made me realize that magic of, however cliche it may sound, that magic of editing, that you remove a certain portion from the film because after a point of watching it repeatedly it feels redundant, that you don't need this. And in that removing also, you make sure that you have made the content of that scene a part of the film already, and that is why that reiteration becomes redundant, and maybe that is why you remove it. So all this started playing in my head, and then that one experience enriched me a lot. Yes, see, in the institute, you do a lot of exercises, you have a lot of workshops. It channelizes you in one way. But when you do one feature film, when you witness the process of one feature film, it is a game changer. And with a person like Jabin, of course, she's a very good teacher also. So that's why she taught me. Even if you open any of my projects today, it looks exactly like the project, sorting the material, how to sort material. It looks like Jabin's project till date. My assistants also say that this is a foolproof way of sorting things.
You are an accomplished actor as well, so but usually, when people tend to get into films, acting is one area which most of them are attracted, because the glamour attract. So why editing?
No, see, the thing is, acting.
I mean, I'm not saying just acting, but you could have gone into
Whatever.
why editing?
Like I said, no, like I said, acting. Let me answer why the acting bit was, I was doing theater, and there's this only one person in the world who trusted me as an actor, and I worked with him. That's it. And the next one is you. So in your films, whatever I acted. So
You have acted in criminal justice as well.
yeah, man, that is, but in terms of length and so what, you realize your own limitations. But I'll tell you how all these things help. Acting, there is a certain rhythm of every actor. So when you are an actor, where to cut, where does this expression, how much do you hold an expression, how much do you hold a look, and how much do you, so that it gives you a inherent sense of timing, is what I realized. This is all in hindsight. This you don't realize as you are doing things. Sometimes when you make a cut, you realize that just because you are an actor, maybe, or you have acted, forget you are an actor, because you have acted and you have that instinct of being an actor, you know where to cut. So, I feel this, why, now coming back to why editing of all the things, I chanced upon editing first. Actually, then later I went out with the camera, but I realized that I'm not a very outdoor person. I don't like heat, rain. So sitting at one place and watching rushes without sound is also, can also make you feel tired. It's a different type of effort that you have to make. So you realize over a period of time that what can you do, and I, right from the beginning. Now, see, all this is in hindsight. Like I said, we know each other for a long time, and then I have also been editing for now 15-17 years. So this is what I've realized right from the beginning, right from the childhood. I was never a team player. I always played karate, which was one-to-one sport, no team. Then I played chess, which is then I went to do weightlifting. So I was never in a team. I was always alone. And here also in the editing room, there is director and editor. So there is one person whom I have to deal with, and I am very comfortable doing that. Is what I've so this is what I've realized about myself after these years of editing, and so I'm very comfortable in that role. The moment there are so many people around, I tend to then keep silent for some time.
So, but tell me something. Bombay or Hindi film industry being so close to Marathi film industry, like just probably three hours away from the industry, how difficult it is to sustain an industry there? Like, especially for a technician like you, if you are offered a Hindi film compared to a Marathi film.
No, see, what happened in my, I haven't done many Hindi films. I've done just 2 or 3 or whatever, and those were also not very huge budget films. And so what happens is, if a Marathi film pays you 100 rupees, say, and Hindi film pays you 500 rupees, Marathi film will pay those 100 rupees over a period of 3 months. And Hindi film will pay you 500 rupees over a period of 1 year or 6 months. So it is more or less the same thing in terms of money, I'm telling you. So for me, I'm okay, Hindi, Marathi, anything. Of course, Hindi, everybody wants to do Hindi, a big Hindi film with big stars. Who would not want to? But it has yet not come my way. So I am, I am not in a position to comment on that.
Right, but no, my question is also in terms of for technicians, yeah, in a way you're right. But for actors or directors like Umesh Kulkarni, what makes them stay back in Marathi and not be tempted by Hindi?
I mean, see, we were just talking last night, so so that's what he was saying. Every person has his own pace of living life and doing work. So Marathi, Hindi, if you take this pressure, you will become part of an assembly line or a constant pressure that will make you churn out work in a certain way. So do you want to be a part of that or not is your own decision. I don't think if you say yes, you want to do it, you should do it wholeheartedly. And if you don't, you choose a way, you live a content life and don't complain about it. So that is, I think it's a choice that one makes. I don't really have a mind on that. It is a choice.
Now shifting to your craft, you have started editing video and then shifted to films, as in celluloids, and now again probably shifted back to digital, not video probably. So
Correct.
what, can you talk me through that? What was the journey like and what is the difference do you feel like?
See, again, what I really feel is what one needs to understand is the story. What are you doing it for is a different thing altogether. Who is going to watch it? What is going to do? Is it? Fortunately for me, when I started with television was very literature based. The best of Marathi literature was being converted into televised episodes, which was again content based, which was about characters, their lives, they had a certain pace to their lives, and they had their emotional complications. They had a reflection of their dark sides. So it trained me in a particular way to first attack the story and the pace of the life of the character. So that really stayed with me, and I think that is the crux of the matter, which sees your journey in the long arc of things. So it started there, and then some documentary projects, and then some, like you said, films. See, Marathi films I did I'm doing them as we speak. So what happens is you start, when you read the script, you immediately get to know now that what is the problem in the script and what are the good points in the script. Then again, I have started this method of timing every event in the film. As to I play my cuts, I start playing the film and I time the events. What time is it coming? How closely is it packed, or how loosely is it packed? And then I have my own set of timings which I try to adhere to. Maybe a few minutes here and there within the first reel. How many points? How long should the basic common sense of telling a story and keeping people engaged. So this, when I developed when I was doing feature films. Now the game changed when episodes came in the structure. Now what happens is, but the logic remains the same. Of the logic of timing remains the same. You have earlier you had a say 2-hour film where you have to the characters progress. Now you have a 40-minute episode, but every episode is a complete story by itself anyways, isn't it? So then this understanding came that okay, now you're doing more or less the same thing. That what is it? You have to keep the people engaged, and there should be a certain track to the story. So there, what I feel is your sensitivity towards the story is what matters at the end of the day. The medium is, well, you know, is another.
Of course, the medium who watches it and all those things are different, definitely. But also in terms of craft, it also has some change, right? In terms of television also is episodic, but television and OTT is quite different.
Yes.
So I'm talking about that kind of a difference.
No, see, now see, television is, see, over a period of years, I don't know. I mean, it is complete. The story, see, like I said, the stories that they are trying to tell on television today and the stories that they are telling on OTT today are completely different, and that is what makes the thing. So the mother-in-law slaps the daughter-in-law, and then the father-in-law looks, the son looks, the brother-in-law looks, and everybody looks, so that one slap is almost 3 minutes long with beats, repeated cuts and beats. So this is the story that they are telling. Good, bad, ugly, it is up to the audience to decide, but that is our reality today. The form is becoming the content. What is the reaction? You know, you are extending time. So we are trained to look at it in a particular way, and but that is a way, and that is a very successful medium. I mean, it is reaching thousands of people today, and crores of people today, and people are being entertained by that. So that is a very legitimate kind of entertainment. And then you see a Game of Thrones kind of a thing where Ned Stark is killed immediately the moment you fall in love with him and he's killed. You know, then there is more. There is more to expect if you realize that somebody whom you have invested in for so many episodes and he's killed like that, and then you're shocked. So there is more content packed. So, like I said, for me, what I like to do is time the events in the episode, so that, of course, there's script. You have to adhere to the script, but then my contribution to it would be that sense of timing. That when would the first event happen? When would the second event happen? So that is what I try to do.
Also, how has it changed in terms of the kind of footage you have been receiving?
I don't care about it much, because 6K, 4K, 8K, whatever. For me, I converted it to a low resolution file, and I work. But what is happening is all these shows are coming up with tight deadlines, and everybody is stressed. So they're shooting with 2, at times 3 cameras at a time, which is a way, for me. I always was told by all of our cinematographer friends that lighting can happen only for 1 camera at a time, and then using 2 cameras is a skill which is not everybody's cup of tea. So what is happening is, now there is a lot of coverage, but there is a lack of shots, if you know what I mean. Coverage is there. You have this reaction, you have this reaction, you have this reaction, but that is not a shot. What is a shot? A shot should evoke something. It should tell you a story. It should move. You should feel like cutting to it from here, to take your story from this point to this point, which is usually missing when people use more than 1 cameras at a time, because not everybody knows how to work. Of course, there are masters. Of course, there are better people who know how to use 2 cameras or 3 cameras. But this is one thing which I've been noticing very commonly these days, that the working with 2 cameras running at time just results in a lot of humongous unusable footage, or maybe not so interesting footage. Unusable, forget unusable, but not so interesting footage.
Coming to OTT and editing for OTT, like you've done Beta, Criminal Justice, and like a couple of other shows, where you're not the only editor.
In Betal, what happened? I was told to do episode 3 and 4, 2 and 4, and 1 and 2 was somebody else was going to do it. but somehow he had to. There was some he had to do something, so he went after doing episode 1. So I ended up editing 2, 3, and 4. But yes, see, nowadays people are doing this. You know that.
No,
Uh,
like when you edit a film, you are the only editor, so the whole vision is yours.
Correct.
But
Correct.
when there are two players, as you said, you you are not a team player. You know
Yeah.
how does it become difficult, or how does it
No.
become difficult?
See, what happens is, especially in web shows, there is a person called a showrunner whose vision you have to trust, because not every time you don't even have the time to go and watch the other episodes. No, because they're still being edited. Something or the other is happening every day, so you don't exactly know what is the pace or what is the rhythm of it. It is the showrunner who knows. So when I share my cuts with the showrunner, usually uh, I trust him that he is taking care of the homogeneity factor. That there is the pace, the what do you say, the rhythm. All these things are in tandem with the other editor. We, of course, we share each other's work and we go see them. But what happens is it keeps changing every week. So how many times will you leave your work and go and watch the other episode? You have a fair idea as to what is happening in the other room. Yes, you know. But that is why there is a person called the showrunner.
Does it become a constraint? Because then you're just a.
Earlier I thought it would become a constraint, but I made peace with the fact. See, because this is going to happen now. I've made my peace with the fact. Because right now also, right before this lockdown happened, we started with one show where there were 3 other editors, 8 episodes, and three. See, because they are also these channels are coming with deadlines, and they have actors dates for a limited period of time, and so they forget 3 editors. There were 3 directors also, and one of them was the showrunner. So I was working for him. I mean, I said I was I was doing his episodes, and when we were all of us were going to come together and then jam. So this is the way work is happening. See, good, bad, I don't know, but this is I look at it as an assembly line kind of a thing. You give your best to your episodes and trust the showrunner is what
But
now.
when we claim that we are in creative field and this cannot be the assembly line, etc., etc. Do you feel that you have just become a nut or bolt in a big assembly line?
At times I do feel, but then see what I do is, uh, see, at the end of the day, what am I getting credit for? I am getting credit for those 2 episodes. I look at them as those mini films. What is happening before them and what is going to happen after them. See, that is that work has come to me. If so, that is my work. You have to be sincere to your work. Then thankfully, along with all this, I am doing my Marathi films. Where there is still sanctity of the editor director relationship, and there is I I'm working with my close friends, and there is some interesting discussion and give and take happen. And in the same breath, I would say it is not OTT and all this work is nothing impure or nothing of any substandard quality. It is really really good.
With OTTs, it is very heavily corporate driven. So how does that affect in your editing room?
See, what has happened is in the film is usually director oriented, director driven, I would say, many a times, where if you see the new crop of directors that came in, they wrote their own films, they found money for that film, and then they directed it, and then so it is a director driven medium. What happens in OTT is, like I said, it is an assembly line. The writer writes it, goes to the production house, the directors are hired, then directors shoot, they make their first cut, they submit their cut, and then they are asked to step out many a times, not every time. And then the corporate takes over nitty gritty things. I mean, in the editing room, how long should this reaction be? How long should this happen and that? Everything many a times are directed by suits. So like I said, you have to make peace. You have to see first two cuts. You have to give your best. I mean, to the story, and then later on, later on you are left with very little choice because they give you a printed feedback. But you know what? I have noticed that when you address you address a time coded feedback that at 10:26:39 do this, and you lose the objectivity of the bigger picture. What exactly is happening in the episode, वो थोड़ा सा compromise हो जाता है, ऐसे मुझे लगता है. But then again, I trust the decision makers. And with this, that if they have given it to me in writing that change this and change that, then I would like to trust them at a point, because first 2-3 iterations I've done with the director, done with the channel myself, and then if on top of that, if they can see something which is going to make the show better, then I unquestioningly do it. See, if you have a strong opinion, I feel if I have a strong opinion, I voice it out twice at different time intervals. If it is listened to, then I'm okay with it. If not, then I let go. See, because what one has to understand is editor is not the originator of editing, is not a fundamental art. It is completely dependent on what you as a director will give me, and then I will derive something of it, and I should make peace that I am a helping hand to you, isn't it? So that piece, I think, I'm trying to make as time is passing by, and I will not absolve myself of everything. I will keep you making aware that maybe this is going wrong, maybe this is going wrong, and then if you say, Abhijeet, I know this is you feel this is going wrong, but I feel this, let us not discuss this, finished.
So ideally, what stage would you like to get into a project?
Well, I would prefer if somebody sends me a script of the film, at least before shooting. I like to read the script before shooting, and like I said, I will go through it. I immediately pick up the phone or meet the person, tell him or her that I feel this, I feel this, I feel this, I feel this. Then he says, okay, you feel this, noted. You feel this, noted. This can't not be possible. So like I said, you have to be assertive but not imposing as an editor. So
Right.
That's what I've learned over a period of time, and it is good to read the script before the project goes on the floor.
And also talking about the corporate setup and corporate being involved in filmmaking, has that changed anything in terms of quality of life for technicians? In terms of payment, organized payment, etc.?
Yeah, payments have become organized. There are contracts. There are very, very strict. There are contracts. Doesn't mean it is followed, but then there are contracts. There are contracts for there is a code of conduct which you have to agree to, and which is interesting. And it has the corporates also. Yeah, I mean. The kind of studios, if depending on the kind of corporates you are working with, the kind of studios that they offer you are better. The kind of equipment they offer you are better. You can hire better assistants because they give you fair amount of money, and yeah. So it has definitely changed. It has definitely changed.
Going back to your first point, in terms of shift from cooking to editing, about the feedback. So, how has the feedback system changed because of OTTs?
Feedback system. See, now everybody is eager to give you, is actually able eager to put you down. Only your family and friends are the people who will give you honest feedback. But what I'm recently looking at reviews, people they're clickbaits, that Shah Rukh Khan's Betal is so bad that you will dot dot dot, and then you open it and it is a clickbait. And talking bad about people has become something. You know, who can? There's a competition. Who can talk more bad about somebody? So the moment there is a big name involved, people are ready to run you down. So I think it is a vicious competition. Then something is happening. What again? So what you should just do your work and then let the audience. And another another peculiar thing about OTT is nobody really knows how many people saw your show. Like in the box office, whatever, how much ever fudged or how much ever real, we used to get a feedback that अच्छा इतने लोग इतना पुणे city में 10 theater में houseful है. That meant something. That gave you a ballpark figure as to how many people have seen the film. What is the word of mouth? For 4 days at least. Monday afternoon 3 shows full. So that used to say something about the film. That on a working day, so many people went and saw. There's on an OTT, the channel, of course, they have their own ways of measuring, but it never really reaches us. So all the shows that I've done 8 or 9 shows till date. Every show when it released, it was the number 1 show. So every channel says that, "Arey, ye to number 1 show hai." Yeah. Then it became, "Ye hamare platform ka aaj tak ka number 1 show hai." So.
But I remember when Criminal Justice released, it created big impact.
Yes.
Lots of people were talking about it, and it was appreciated.
Hmm.
But in terms of content, it was a good content. It was nice series, but still the content was something which we had seen earlier in terms of drama. The kind of drama we have seen in Indian television or Indian cinema before, like sort of a courtroom drama with different kind of twists. But when it came to Betan, so that's not a very familiar content
In Hindi.
in Hindi. Yeah, like in India.
See, people had made Go Goa Gone.
Right, but still, that was not a content which was easily consumed or
Consumed.
by Indian.
Correct.
So, how difficult was it to create a bridge in terms of aesthetic bridge between the zombie film genre to Indian audience? Was it something you had?
See, it is. Thankfully, it was written in a certain way that it had all the zombie film tropes. And it was more horror and less See, the director was British. One of the directors, the showrunner was British. So, and he has been studying the zombie genre for quite a while now, and we had a great time working together. I always, right from the beginning, I felt that this is low on emotion. Me being a certain way, I've been fed with films of a certain man. So I always was, but then he told me that, this is not emotion, this is horror. And fear is the only emotion that you should feel right now. Then I actually realigned myself to the way of thinking, and then we started working on horror.
Okay, so how was you have worked with the British director, the showrunner? How different is the approach in terms of an Indian or Indian director to? Are they more organized or?
No, nothing. I mean, nothing organized. So everybody is. I feel thankfully I've come across people who are more or less the same degree of being organized and being. I think they know, everybody knows their material very well, because our medium is so demanding. You cannot afford to be lax, really. I mean, you can't afford to be sloppy, is what I feel. And especially when you're working with corporates like Netflix or maybe like BBC or Hotstar or all these things. You have to be on your toes. So it was a very good experience actually. We had a great time. We used to edit not more than 5 hours a day and do intensive work. Then send it to Netflix. Netflix used to send their feedback, and Netflix was also very, the feedback from Netflix also used to be very interesting as to they used to suggest many things which would make the show better, which were not necessarily a part of the script. Earlier we used to feel, this is never written. How can we do that? But then after the first anger reaction subsided, then we say, why not do it? Let us try. And then we try and get into it and then, do it and then see if it works. And many a times it did work. And then you end up thinking, why didn't I think of it? So, so this is the way. So, so this is the way it happens.
So, yeah, it was great talking to you, Abhijeet. It's strange talking to you like this online. But it was interesting, and also after like 17 years of our film institute, it was interesting to catch up again and discuss cinema in terms of business or the life that we discuss. But it was interesting to discuss.
Yes, sir. It was so much fun.
Thank you so much for joining me, Abhijeet.
Thank you and namaskar.
ಸೊ ಇಷ್ಟೊತ್ತು ನಾವು ಅಭಿಜಿತ್ ದೇಶಪಾಂಡೆ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಸಿನಿಮಾ ಎಡಿಟಿಂಗ್ ಹಾಗೂ ಇತ್ತೀಚೆಗೆ ಆಗಿರುವಂಥ ಬೆಳವಣಿಗೆಗಳು, OTTಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಡೀತಿರುವಂಥ ಹೊಸ ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಗಳು ಇತ್ಯಾದಿಗಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡಿದ್ವಿ. ಸೊ ನಿಮಗೆಲ್ಲ ಇಷ್ಟ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಅಂದ್ಕೊಳ್ತೀನಿ. ನಿಮ್ಮ ಕಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ಗಳನ್ನು ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ನಮಗೆ ತಿಳಿಸಿ, ಬರೀರಿ, ಕಮೆಂಟ್ ಸೆಕ್ಷನಲ್ಲಿ ಹಾಕಿ. FUC ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಇತರ ಗೆಳೆಯರೊಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಹೇಳಿ, ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಸಬ್ಸ್ಕ್ರೈಬ್ ಆಗುವಾಗೆ ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ತಿಳಿಸಿ. ಧನ್ಯವಾದ.